to Senior Protection, our official video for our YouTube channel for 2022. And what a better way to launch our YouTube channel with a personal friend and colleague who has been in the industry for so long, and we know each other very well, and we both have our coffee, so cheers to that. My name is Glen Campbell. I'm the Director of Senior Protection.
Hello, I'm Susan Tan. I'm Program Director of Senior Protection, but we both have a long history protecting Canadians. Almost 2 decades, keeping Canadians safe.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. I mean, and a lot of the viewers might not know, but Senior Protection is a division of Alarm Guard, right? And maybe tell your story about Alarm Guard, because I know you had that transition between Alarm Guard and then you took that leap forward with Senior Protection.
But it was a natural segue, actually. So when my son was about 10 years old, having been a prior victim of an attempted home invasion when he was a toddler, and I was a customer and had a security system, there was an ad that said basically looking for dedicated people to keep Canadians safe. And everyone was saying, well, you'd be a natural at this because you gave us so many referrals. And so I came in, had a meeting, and I learned that, yes, giving away complimentary security systems. My nationally known passion is to rescue dogs and cats and pets from smoke inhalation and fire. And most of our thank you calls are, because it's so early, a lot of seniors would be getting out of fires alive because they wouldn't hear the regular ionization smoke detector. It was the photoelectric monitored smoke that saved lives. And it just seemed to be, possibly because of my age, that a lot of our security system customers were over age 55, were over age 65. And sometimes you said I cared almost too much.
This is true, this is true.
Because you're on the technical side. I believe that customers are everything. And you have to go the extra mile for a senior demographic.
Absolutely.
So that's how he called me when I was staying in a hotel for very serious reasons for a week up in Aurelia, but you reached out to me, and I'm glad that you reached out, and dedicated even more so to keeping senior Canadians safe.
Well, thank you. It's nice to hear your story, Susan. Alarm Guard, for those of you who don't know, 19 years. 19 years, started back in 2003. And Susan was one of the passionate representatives for Alarm Guard, really pushing the security and safety for families across Canada. And she's not limited to just Toronto per se, because our head office is in North York, right? Yeah. And you've always worked out of North York. You've done traveling, and you've done traveling, man. You've done traveling.
You know where all the good bakeries are.
Exactly, yeah. Anytime I go to a town, I ask her, she tells me where the desserts are, where the maple syrup, which is amazing. But explain to me, back in the day, and I'm not trying to give our age away here, but back in the day when a senior needed to be protected, what was available? What did you do at the time?
The only thing I could do, especially with a pre-existing medical condition, was the alarm systems had what was called a key fob.
Right.
And it was only limited to a few feet,
Right.
probably less than the diameter of their home.
Yeah.
And so if they didn't have that key fob that wasn't programmed for police, but programmed for medical, hopefully the medical emergency occurred within a few feet.
Right.
Which means if they go shopping, go to the drugstore, go to church, there was no peace of mind. And even the industry for personal emergency response systems, it was through the line.
Right.
And
Correct.
then there's still websites out there, only 600 feet, only 1,100 feet.
And that's not to say that going through walls, because a
Yeah.
key fob traditionally is like you're coming home, so you're close to the keypad almost, right outside the door kind of thing, right? And 1,000 feet is reduced so much when you cross the walls and everything else that go through it. So depending if it's a brick wall, if it's how many wooden walls, or what's internal, basement, upstairs.
Or new condos with those concrete pillars.
Yeah. So a lot of the customers that we used to do, I used to install, I used to sell, I used to promote, still do. Just don't install anymore, I'm getting too old. But a lot of the times the customer didn't want or need that security system per se, depending on if they're in a condominium or an apartment, right? So, and it was very overwhelming to have that security system because, okay, yes, you have the pendant, yes, you have this. Again, like you said, you can't leave the home. being protected. You can leave the home, you can't be protected leaving the home. So a lot of the gardeners outside in the backyard, it was limited, right? So for that reason, in 2019, pretty much 2020, I guess I would say, in the middle of COVID was when Alarm Guard stepped up and said, listen, there's definitely a need for protecting seniors. We need to do something. We get the calls every day. The only thing we can promote is our security system with the add-on, you know, and even though it was such a great price, they're limited. How do we, you know, with the technology that came out and that we're aware of, and after we did our due diligence on our products, it's so nice to offer such a great solution to allow the senior to leave the home, you know, under any circumstance, you know, as long as there was a cellular coverage. So how has your explanation, we'll call it an explanation, how has your explanation changed from 2012 to 2022 if a senior needed protection? We'll keep aside the home and everything else. Everybody should be protected, but there are limitations to certain things, right?
Well, there's more over-the-phone hugs, there's more in-person hugs, happy tears. It's, I just was attending a webinar on the fact that elder abuse has gone up exponentially, not only in Canada but worldwide. And they have some stats that I was listening to. Majority of people who are targeted are women living alone, because statistically there are more widows than widowers.
Right.
And you know, because I've reached out to you, and that it's not just, oh, I feel dizzy and I need help getting up. In the last week, I've spoken to 4 women, some aren't seniors, and they're being threatened either at home or on the job or between the 2 locations. And it is a personal emergency response system, not only for seniors, but both elderly men and elderly women get their lives back.
You know what, you brought up a good point.
Yeah.
You know what the carjacking that's going on? We had a customer call, and it was a nurse, and she said, you know, if I would have had one of your pendants around my neck, in my pocket, you know, on my wrist, or you know, as a belt clip, she said I could have pressed that button right away. You know, because in most cases with the carjacking, you've already have your purse inside, you already have your phone inside, you already have a lot of people like, oh, I have my cell phone. Well, you do, but how many times does the battery drain out? How many times is it actually physically with you, or you put it on the table and then you do something?
Or you're under stress and you can't reach it.
Right, right. So being around the neck, it's available for that on demand, which is so important.
Well, remember you asked me for a favor? It wasn't my customer, but it was a really nice gentleman that lived in Kingston.
Right.
And he wanted someone to come and set it up.
Yes.
And then I find out he's British, he has no family
Paul.
here. Yes.
I remember Paul.
And he was part of the Battle of Britain and survived. He was one of the first people to fly planes in the Battle of Britain.
Wow.
And with my dad being a veteran and my grandfather being a veteran, it was like, yes, I'll do anything for you, sir, no problem. I left Kingston, it was in the winter time, it's the first snowfall of the year, pulled into a Napanee gas station. It was dark, but it wasn't that late. It was like maybe what, 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Right.
Carload of young men, because they saw me wearing a mask and they were anti-maskers, all of a sudden got really verbally violent and followed me into the gas station. I thought it was going to be physically violent. And I held up the device and gave them the look like, okay, go ahead, try it. And I did the mum look.
You didn't give them the karate pose?
No. And they took off, and then I paid for the gas, and I said, like, what the heck's going on? And I do apologize, this is going to get political. The gentleman said, well, you have dark hair, you have high cheekbones. Yes. Well, we're near a reserve. They thought you were from the reserve and you're a woman alone, and they wanted to be bullies.
Wow.
And I said, are you kidding me? It's 2021. I think that's when I went to see him.
Yeah.
And they said, no. And I said, no, then this is like, not only is this my passion now, but it's my passion for life.
Right.
Because no one getting gas or going to the drugstore should be faced with that. And I've had a couple of cases in Durham where women wearing masks have been verbally assaulted in broad daylight in a parking lot.
And that's just one of many reasons why people attack or people, you know, threaten or people abuse. What I want to do is, this is great and I love it, and thank you so much. Can you stick around for a while?
Absolutely.
I think we're going to finish our coffee. We're going to take a little break. After our break, I want to talk about you and your position and what what is your end game or goal towards senior protection and what you want to do and what you're looking for? Because I know that there's some ads out that you're looking for some influencers, some
influencers, more people. There's too many. The aging, the greatest growing demographic is people over age 55. It's going to be huge by 2024, I believe.
Oh, absolutely.
We need more people to protect more Canadians.
Perfect. So we're going to come right back. We're going to talk about Susan and what is her position and what does she do and what is she looking for. She's making some amazing changes. And also get into a little bit of depth with the product. I mean, you can't, you know, oh, I see you have it. You're wearing it, right? You showed it already. So with that, I'll see you guys soon.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome back to the official Senior Protection Channel. I'm sitting with Susan Tan, our program director across Canada. And what I want to do is I want to dig a little deeper into her position and exactly what you're doing and what you plan to be doing. Because I know you're a huge part of senior protection moving forward and where you've come from. I know that you're still, you've got that protection in you and never leave you. And I know you're still a part of our parent company with Alarm Guard. And you're helping protect as well. But I think your main focus right now is senior protection. So I want to tell the audience the transition.
Okay.
Back in 2020, I guess it was?
Yeah, I think it was the end of July, beginning of August 2020.
Right, okay.
You were kind of like a guardian angel because my dad had a stroke in 2012. And I got the phone call the end of July in 2020 that you better come up, book a hotel, it's the week, which no one wants to hear.
Right.
And you know that I'm mentally strong and because we've helped people be strong, we have that in us.
Right.
But it was difficult. There were many a night I didn't sleep and everything else, and you feel helpless because you have no control over that. Then when you reached out and then we had a meeting after I came back, and you said you've always been very passionate about our senior customers, and this is a no-brainer. It gave me purpose because how many times now you and I on the day where we get thank yous, either that they now have less stress and anxiety, or you got the very first one where they had a stroke and then they call us to say thank you. You got the very first one. I recently got one from a lovely lady in
I have
Quebec.
goosebumps right now.
I
Every
know,
time
we
hear
both
it.
get goosebumps.
And I've told the story 100
Yeah.
times, but I still get goosebumps. It's
Would you like to tell the story now? 'Cause
Nope,
it was the very
the segment's
first.
about you.
No,
And,
but basically, at first when we were talking about the product, it's help, I fall and I can't get up. I'm having a stroke.
Right.
My medication's making me dizzy. I went to take a shower and slipped and fell in the shower. I went for a walk with my dog and lost my balance. But it's also, the neighborhood's changed. I'm the last senior on my block. I'm being bullied by a bunch of, I can't say the word on YouTube.
yeah.
Exhibit A,
We're
and then you
following.
can add on the rest of the word. And they just feel they're not safe, whether they're in their home or going for a walk or going shopping. And statistically, one lady actually in Mississauga hugged me after I set it up in her home, because she can now cross the street in her walker, go to her favorite grocery store and not be afraid of confrontation.
Wow.
And so she teared up, I teared up. And it's those hugs over the phone or in person with masks and booster shots, they have their life back,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. Okay, so to me, it's a match made in heaven. And what amazes me with senior protection is the fact that there's Mike Chaudhry, he's the owner, right?
Yeah.
Owner, operator, Glen Campbell, the director, program director. So between the three of us, we pretty much run the country. But what amazes me is that every day I present customers who call us, who need the service. I jump on the phones. I'm not in the boardroom. Okay, I'm in the boardroom a lot, but I want to engage because I need to listen. And you being the program director, you don't have to do that. You don't have to travel to people's homes. You don't have to, give those demos. You don't have to be on Rogers television doing what you do. Well, you do, that's kind of, but we're going to get to that as well.
Okay.
But the fact that you do that, and you're so busy, and you don't normally get it at that level. at the level of the director, you don't normally get that customer engagement, especially with you going to the homes. Like that's amazing, you know?
But they needed it.
It is, no, I truly understand. And I think that was a part of helping you transition from the security to the PERS industry.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you knew anyways because of the security, home security, smart security, home automation, stuff like that. But when we transitioned to the PERS, I still remember when we, you know, Mike and I, and we were just putting the ad out, and we did all, you know, the demographics. We did everything. We checked out the prices from all the competitors, and we found out some competitors are really, really gouging. I mean, we're talking $60, $70 a month.
In one case.
$94 a month. Amazing. Like it just, you know, like I got goosebumps again. But and we just, you know, we brought the product and to the highest level, the service to the highest level, and we offered that price where it just makes sense, you know. And especially with the SIM card built in, it's like having a cell phone, you know. But getting back to you.
Well, speaking of SIM cards, you know I love dogs. I have 2 dogs now, one before COVID and another one during COVID for sanity. There's hiking trails all over where I live, and there's hiking trails where I visit customers, so they tell me, like, oh, this one's a good one, take your dog here this weekend. And I know all the dead zones because we're on our phones through our Bluetooth while we're driving. If you mention the Kawarthas, Northumberland, the Muskokas, Halton Hills, Prince Edward County, Quinte West, I kind of know where all the dead zones are for my cell phone, but our devices work.
Right. Nice.
And it's another thing when I'm going to be seeing a couple of ladies in the Picton and Wellington area soon because they need to have that one-on-one.
Right. And you don't get that from every company.
No.
You're talking about one customer.
Yeah.
Let's call it one sale.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where do you get that? I've never seen a company, and I've worked for some really big companies. I've never seen anybody do that at that level. Yes, you have traveling salesmen, but you're nowhere near that. I mean, you're a program director, so you're the face of senior protection. You represent us, and you believe in the service, and that's why you do it, right? But the fact that you do one-on-ones and the fact that you go out is such a blessing. And I believe in the write-up on senior protection, it even states, don't be surprised if you call senior protection, she answers. Don't be surprised, because this woman she just involves herself, and she loves to interact, and she loves to learn, you know, and who better to learn from than the elderly, you know, the older people, my dad, my mom, my grandfather. I used to love that. I would sit there for hours and just listen to their stories. I was like, oh my God. Whether they're true or not, sometimes they like to put a little icing on the cake, you know, to make themselves a little better. But
they feel better that somebody's actually listening because, you know, COVID, they've been ignored.
yeah,
And actually, I just spoke to a woman yesterday. Her dad was a World War I hero.
wow.
And she said, am I talking too much? I went, no, I'm a history nerd. Keep talking.
It's amazing, right? And I'm the same way. And we're good at that. Like, we will listen to the customer, where a lot of companies, they cut off. Here's the price, here's the term, here's this, here's that.
Yeah.
And with senior protection, it's so nice to take a breath and say, I work for a company that cares. I work for a company that I'm surrounded by professionals that care, you know? And, oh man, it's such a great success. We're gonna take a quick break. And we're gonna have to segment this to like another 12 videos because we got so much to go over here. But I really want to get to the nuts and bolts of your position and what your goals are, because I know, you know, with being on Rogers Television in Durham, you know, you're talking to the officer. Man, that was a great video. He's such a great guy.
Caring person.
Yeah, unbelievable. But some of the stories and some of the information you had on there really touched a lot of hearts, and we did get a flux of calls regarding that. And, you know, from current customers and potential customers, which was nice. But, yeah, so let's take a quick break, finish our coffee, and we'll be right back. Thank you, guys. Welcome back. Okay, Susan, so this is our third video. We're going to see how long we can go here. But,
Okay, yeah, we're good.
it's so good. What I want to talk about is, we all know your recent promotion to the program, National Program Director with Senior Protection, a division by Alarm Guard Security. We know that you've done a lot of, you're basically the voice of Senior Protection, right? And in many cases, the face as well. People recognize you, they want to talk to you on the phone. And it's awesome, it really is. In doing this, Senior Protection has achieved so much in 2 years, or less than 2 years actually. We've achieved so much. Our customer base in Canada, unbelievable. Our customer care team that answers the phones for troubleshooting, for changing anything the customer needs, you know, their medical history, their, you know, whatever it is, change of address, whatever. To our accounting, we're just like a full running machine ready to go. And it seems like, you know, we've just blown up. And on the same token, we get all these calls coming in from, you know, people that want to join us and on an advertising level and stuff like that. But I know, and you're like me, old school, we want to be very choosy in who can be an endorsement for us or a representative. So maybe in your own words, a couple of words, just let me know what you think you would entertain, and what would you tell the audience if you're in this business? Should they reach out to you?
I think we have to expand our universe because the demographic needs us, and now we're finding new demographics with other types of abuse and everything else.
Yep.
So yes, and I'm not like, you have to coach me on social media because I hid from it for years. But we need influencers, we need communicators, we need partners. I've met so many PSWs and nurses and frontline workers and people who are studying healthcare in school, but also, you know, volunteer police officers. I forget what you call that, where it's like not a full police officer, but they're part of a volunteer community.
Oh yeah, like on call.
And also victim services across Canada that get the calls.
Yeah, you brought up a good point.
I spoke to a lady a year ago in victim services.
Nice.
They are walking, talking guardian angels that they can step up and help local police departments deal with this.
Right.
I'd like to get politicians involved because I just left part of a webinar where we need a national prevention program of elder abuse. But also with all of the economic things going on right now, we want to make life safety affordable because you and I both, it's these 3 people a day. They're worried about their food bill, their gas bill, their rent bill. And how are they going to be able to not die from their second stroke?
Right.
Or the fact that they have the beginning stages of Alzheimer's and they need protection from wandering and sundowning, and the family's less stressed. It's not just a job.
Yeah.
We need people who see that if they're passionate and they know they're making a difference and they're caring individuals. I've always done that. Take care of the customer, everything else will take care of itself.
Nice. So
Yes.
basically, I know with ODSP in Ontario,
Yeah.
we've dealt with them quite a bit, you know, because we know a senior living on a pension in Canada, it's not easy.
No.
And it's not going to get any easier. Look at what's coming. There's, you know, the market's kind of having a really
Inflation.
big hit. The
Yeah.
inflation has increased. Look at the gas, you know, it's unbelievable. So we know it's going to get a little worse for a while, and as the world, you know, recoups what happened to us over the last couple of years. But I think it's important to reach out and allow them the opportunity. So, you know, I know in Alberta, we deal with the government. They have a lot of subsidies.
Yes.
ODSP here in Ontario, we dealt with a lot of seniors that are having trouble. So if they are hooked up with ODSP and they have those medical benefits, they can reach out to us as well. Because I think they
Nova
they help.
Scotia, Quebec.
Nova Scotia, Quebec, there's a what do you call it?
rebate?
A rebate for
Yeah.
income, right? Which is really, really good. So if somebody has a website based on the healthcare industry, should they reach out to you?
Oh gosh, yes.
Okay. Somebody with a YouTube channel that deals with seniors, lone workers, something like that?
Absolutely. Influencers. There are a lot of seniors out there that have really powerful TikTok and
Yeah.
Instagram and YouTube, and they're senior influencers. I just posted on actors in the industry of the film and television industry who are in their 80s and they're recognized as really capable actors. Well, maybe they'd like to come on and be part of our podcast.
Right.
You know, get the word out, word of mouth, an ounce of prevention.
That's great.
Yes.
This is going to be
Yeah.
the first of many.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to be on quite a bit, and I'll try to make as many appearances as I can because I'm very passionate. We're very passionate about it. I just want to thank you for coming on today.
Thank you.
And it's fun. It's fun
Yeah.
to talk about what we love and who we care about. And you know, my mom has a unit, and she's very happy. She feels safe. She actually lives in Quebec. Hi, Mom. But but I mean, you know, it's one thing to promote something, but if you don't use it, right? So hence,
Yeah.
that's why around your neck.
Oh, always. Well, also too, I'm on the road traveling alone, and in the last 2 years, there's been at least 2 incidents. I'm like, seriously?
I know.
So it's just nice to have.
So if anybody wants to learn more about the pendant for the senior protection pendant, stay tuned. Click on the next video. Susan will be demonstrating it, and which is probably the best person to do that.
I don't know, you're the technician.
Thank you so much, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Senior Protection Canada.